All right. Thank you for your patience with me. Going to go ahead and get started. So looking to build a full stack application. This is going to be over multiple days. Won't be able to finish this today, but we're going to get started. Basically, just looking to build a restaurant application, and I want to create a clone, if you will, of a local restaurant within town that I enjoy going to. And I figured that why not create a clone of their website with the intent of number one, having the experience, but number two, maybe even taking it to them to say, hey, if you're looking to level up your online presence, I can absolutely help with that. Not looking to put anyone out of business and or anything like that, but maybe just giving them something that they currently don't already have. That's the value that I like to provide. So with that said, this is going to be a full stack Next.js with Prisma, Postgres for sale. Eventually, once we build it out, I may Docker, containerize it, and create a CI pipeline to kind of give it a real deployed website, if you will. But we're going to have all of the functionality that a typical website has. So we'll have an admin dashboard where you can add menu items. We can see checkout orders, who's paid, who hasn't paid. We can track the progress of orders as they come in. And I built something similar to it previously. I should have downloaded it to this computer that I'm on right now so you could kind of get a feel of the flow that I'm speaking of, but it's okay. We'll build it out together. But in this portion of the video, I think I'm just going to focus on the UI, and then we'll come back and layer in the authentication, Prisma, etc., etc. So with that said, we'll go ahead and type the npx command, create next app at latest spaced and dot. And for the project, yes, it's okay to proceed. And we will be using TypeScript. We'll say yes to ESLint, yes to Tailwind, no to the SRC, yes to the app router, yes to the turbo pack, no to the import alias. So just give it a few minutes to finish installing. So with that, I think next I'm going to add Daisy UI. So give me a moment to open up a browser, and thank you to everyone that is stopping by. What's up, Mr. Johnson? I appreciate the support. Good morning, man. Long time no talk to, man. Where you been? I've been here, man. Yeah, I work's been a little hectic, man. Had some family things come up here recently, but I am here. I am here nevertheless. All right, me a second. All right, so you should see the Daisy UI. We'll click on it, and we'll just come over to install, and we'll just copy this command. Paste it back into the terminal. I think the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and distinguish the package manager. So in the package JSON, I'm just going to paste in some simple code that is a bunch of object and keys that represent what we want to get done. So basically we just want to set the package manager to 10.5.2, distinguish the overrides with React, React DOM, and Next. That way we don't run into any compatibility concerns as the project builds out. We'll have a pretty smooth developer experience as much as we can, if you will, at least from a dependency perspective. Now we're gonna have some errors that we'll have to work through, so get ready to kind of see me fumble with that a little bit, but I think this will be fun. So instead of me just building this on my own and then coming back showing you what I did, I'm gonna take you through the entire process of me building this out. Some of it I've already built, some of it I'm gonna have to spend some time learning, and then once it's done, I may come back and make a video of it for those that would like a cleaner version to follow along with. But for right now, we'll just build this raw, figure it out, use Google, Chat GPT, Stack Overflow, the docs, whatever we can get our hands on to kind of help with that process. That's what we'll do. So I added this in. Now let's go back to the Daisy UI documentation. And then next we'll want to add this command to the app.css. So we'll just go to this and go inside of app, global CSS, and we can remove this spoiler code and we'll replace it with that. And then while we're here, we can go ahead and set the height, width, and text size of the app so we can have a more consistent layout and a little more control as we're building. So we'll say HTML, body, root, dot app, and we'll set the height to 100%, the width to 100%. Set the overflow on the X to hidden. That way the page doesn't move side to side. And then we'll set at apply text. We're going to make it small. That way by default the text size is small. A little easier to see. This looks a little better in my opinion. And we can always adjust it as need be. So that is perfect as well. We'll click save. And we'll close this out. And we'll go to the page.tsx. Remove this div. Replace it with a new div. We'll enclose home page to have some text on screen. I think now what I want to do is launch this so we can make sure the app works, and then we'll test out Daisy UI as well. So let me reconfigure a few things. One second. That way we'll build it mobile first. That's my preference anyway. Let's make this a little bigger. Now to spin up the server, we'll just type npm run dev and press enter. All right, so we have hello world on screen. So our app is working perfectly. Now let's just make sure that the Daisy UI package is working properly. So what we'll do is we'll just grab some buttons and place it on screen. I like this one. We'll just copy it. Go back to our editor. Underneath this hello world, we'll just paste this in. Yep, and we can see the various button sizes with the BTN class name, and then distinguishing if we want small, medium is the default, large and extra large. So perfect. That is working as we intended. So I think what we'll do now is shift our focus to some of the UI layout, or maybe we'll go ahead and set up Prisma. Let's go ahead and set up some of the UI layout. So inside of the app directory, let's create a route grouping. And if you aren't familiar with the route grouping in Next.js, it is a folder-based routing system. So anything we put inside of this app, if I were to say a folder inside of the app directory named hello, this is now a new route. And the way that we could display on something on screen is by adding a page.tsx file. And if we created a export default function named hello page, and just returned a div that says hello from hello page, click save. And then if we just wanted to go to this route, we would just go to /hello, press enter, and as you can see, it is now hello from the hello page. But if we wanted to create a grouping to have some organization, we would enclose a folder with parentheses. So we'll create a route grouping named website, and just be sure that the term or word website is enclosed in parentheses. Now what we could do is this page.tsx file, let's drag it into the website grouping or website with parentheses. And if we go back to the home route, we see that we don't have an error. Everything looks great. No, I think I clicked on that error. The other good thing about this is that it allows us to organize routes within a distinguished folder so they can have shared layouts as well. So let's just say I wanted to create a unique layout for the home page and then have a different layout for the dashboard. The way we would go about that is we would have everything that's going to be front end or customer facing or user facing would be within website, and then we can create a separate grouping named dashboard, and this will be where we'll add all of our products and we'll kind of manage the overall application dashboard of the menu items and track our orders and be able to add new menu items and make sure that customers get their orders and check the buy flow will be within dashboard. And everything that we want for the user to see will be within the website grouping. So with us having a website grouping, this is not only organization, but it also helps with routing. So let's just say we want to create a separate layout, not routing, for the website. I'm going to take a little shortcut and copy the children from the primary layout that will control the overall application. And we'll create a separate layout within the website grouping, and we'll say layout.tsx, and I'll use the shortcut snippet to create a quick component that we can export. And then inside of this we'll say children, and then notice that we no longer get an error. And just to kind of show you the way it works, we'll say website layout, click save, and then notice that we see website layout. But if we go to the hello route that is not within the parentheses, notice that we don't see the text website layout on this page because it's in a different grouping. So not only does the grouping allow you to have organization with your files and folders, and it also allows Next, or tells Next, excuse me, to ignore this as a route, but it also allows you to have shared layouts within, or distinguished layouts within certain groupings, so that certain websites or certain routes have certain layouts and you can have a totally separate layout within the dashboard. So just to kind of show you what that'll look like, we'll just add a dashboard folder, which will be a route. And inside of that, if we add a page.tsx, and we'll do the exact same thing with this, say dashboard page. Instead of it being hello, we'll just change this to dashboard. Notice that we see the dashboard page. Now, if we want it to have its own special layout, I'll just copy this. And then inside of this grouping, we'll add a file named layout.tsx. And I'll just paste this in, and instead of it saying website, just to show you, we'll say dashboard. Notice that the dashboard has its own layout, and if we go back to the main root route, it has its own layout. So that's basically how website groupings, or route groupings, excuse me, work with Next.js. It makes life a lot easier as it becomes to having separate layouts. Makes it very simple, very quick to add. So I would encourage you to read the documentation, to take a look at it on your own to learn a little bit more about it. But in a nutshell, that's basically how it works. So with that, we are ready to go ahead and just add some simple styling for the page. So let's go ahead and remove this, and we can close this route out for right now. And I'll close this. Let me make that a little easier to see. There we go, close that. So we'll just work with the root route for right now. And I think the first thing we'll do is start out by creating a components directory. Now you can, with Next.js, there isn't a specific way that you have to organize things. You can place this components directory inside of the actual route itself, and the way you'll tell Next to ignore it is by adding a underscore in front of it. I'm going to have this in the root of the project because what I'm about to add right now, some of it is going to be shared throughout the app, but it just makes it a little easier for me to have it in one location versus having so many component folders, unless it is something that is specific for a route that won't be used anywhere else throughout the application. But for right now, this will be suffice. So in the root of the project, let's add a folder named underscore components. The first folder we'll add within it will be a header, and then the second directory that we'll add is a top nav, and this is going to represent separate navigations that we'll have on the website. So the first one, let's go ahead and add a file inside of top nav. We'll name this top-nav.tsx. And this is where we'll store the top navigation for the website. And with this one, I think we can just name it export default function. We'll call it top nav, and we'll have a return statement where we'll return a div, and we'll just call it top nav for now. And this will be a shared navigation that we'll have throughout the home UI. So we'll go ahead and import it inside of the layout because we want it on multiple routes that will be user facing or customer facing. So we'll import top nav, and that should be coming from @_components/top nav. And then I'm going to paste it in side of the div right above the children because it's going to sit on top of the page itself. So we'll just call top nav, click save, and then now we see top nav on the screen. Just to give this a little bit of structure, we'll go class name, set the height to full. The background color, just to test it, will be amber 200, and we see that it is, with the height being full, we're distinguishing the height of the page. So that's great that it takes up the entire page. We'll remove this because I want the background color to be white. And we'll set the text to neutral 800. There. All right, so now we have the top nav there on screen. Now let's go ahead and begin to style this navigation out just a little bit. So we'll go back to the top nav file and I'll close out the page.tsx. Inside of this, we'll give it a class name with a border bottom. I'll set the border to neutral 200, and we'll set the background to white. And you can see there's a little border down at the bottom. Perfect. We'll remove top nav for right now. Hey, how's it going? Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you get some value from it. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the chat. But let's go ahead and begin to style out this div. So first thing I want to do is give it a class name, of course. We'll set the direction to flex and the height to 12. Let's just get something on screen. Okay. So we've given it flex. We've set the height. Let's set the items to be centered. We'll go justify between. That way we have an item on the left and items on the right. We'll give some padding on the X of 3, so we have some padding listed there. Perfect. Set the text to small, and on small devices, I'm gonna set the padding on the X to 4, and on large, we'll set the padding to 6, and by default, the padding will be set to 3, so we'll get a little bit more of a indenture because we set on small devices for it to be 4. And then I also want to set the maximum width of this. So let's go MX Auto. I'm going to set the max width to be screen large. And just to show you what that looks like. Give me 1 second. Let's make sure that that worked properly. There, so you see the maximum width of this is set to large. That way it's not taking up the entire screen. Just to show you what that looks like, I'll set the background color of this to Go amper 300. So here you see that the maximum width of it is set to large, and what's yellow is this is basically going to be the width of the nav bar. So I think I'll set it to extra large to give it a little more width. Let's set large, just set it to XL. There, as you can see, it's a little wider, so I think I'll go with extra large. So we'll minimize this for right now and go back to the editor. Wait a minute. There. So you can see what it looks like on an extra large view. But for right now, this will be fine with us just having it distinguished because we're going to build it out mobile first, and we'll come back and tweak it for the desktop later on. So let's go back to the editor. Move this background color. All right. So now let's go ahead and get back to styling the navigation. So I think what I want is on the left hand side will be the name of our restaurant, which will have a link back to the home page if the user gets down a path of looking at the various routes on the website. So we're going to import link from nextlink, which allows us to do client-side routing. And we'll bring in that link now. And with the link, we need a href. And we'll just call this 4J Seafood Market, maybe. We'll call it Edwards Fish Market. You see that there. Give this a class name. Set the font to medium. There, that works. And then we'll add a div. Represents off. You see that on the far right. That's because of justify between. We'll give this div a class name of flex, item centered, and we'll say space on the x of 1. So first we'll have a button, I think, to log in. So we'll eventually add authjs and the ability to sign in and sign out. Let's go ahead and bring in some icons. So in the terminal, going to install React icons, npm I React icons, press enter. Give it a moment or two to install. That's perfect. And I think for this one, we're going to have a user icon to represent the ability to log in, and also a shopping cart. So we'll go ahead and bring that in now. Go import from, actually this should be brackets. This is going to be from React. I think it's dash icons. I think we can use fi. So we'll go fi user, fi, is there a cart? Yep, shopping cart, perfect. So I think we'll just have a button to sign in. But I'm not going to worry about the off portion of it for right now. So we'll just go a div with fi user, class name, the height for, width will be set to 4. Close that up. So we see the user listed there, and we can just have a span. Let's see what this looks like. Add another div inside of it with a span that reads login. We'll give it a class name, and text can be neutral 400. And then next to this, we'll have the icon. Click save. All right, and then we'll go flex, item centered, and we'll space on the X of 1. Okay. And then I think next to it, we'll have the shopping cart. So we'll have another div right next to it. We can copy this one. We'll set this space to 3. See what that looks like. Paste this in, and we'll just say cart. And then we can have the FI shopping cart, class name, height of 4, width of 4. Click save. Okay. In that div, we can actually just copy this, paste it in. There. That'll work. That's fine for right now. Eventually, once you have it logged in, we may even hide this cart so that we only get authorized users that way. Well, I guess the order wouldn't be placed unless it's paid for. So if someone wants to use a fake email address, if you will, it really wouldn't matter. But I think we would want to store who's placing the order. So it probably just safer to hide the cart, or maybe show it but not allow checkout. But we'll talk through the logistics as we get a little further along. But for right now, this will be suffice. So this is pretty much going to conclude the header that we're going to have. The next thing that I want to do is build out a notice bar, which is what's included on screen with the website. So let me think about how we want this one to look. So let's build that now. We can close out this top nav for right now. And this, I think, will only be on the actual home page. It won't be shared throughout the layout. So we'll go back to our root of the project. This is where we'll have the notice bar, if you will. Let me just see what this looks like. We'll set the background color to purple for right now, 300. All right, so let's set the height to full. So I think I would rather set it to, if that was 12, let's go with 800 pixels. Just trying to set it so we don't have so much overflow. I would rather have pagination than the ability to scroll personally. That way it's a little better on the performance of the website. Perfect. So we'll set the height to 542 and we can remove this purple. All right, so now let's add the notice bar. Now this would be something I would put in a separate directory, if you will, but it's fine here. So I'm just going to add it inside of the header. We'll name this file notice, notice bar.tsx, and we'll create an export default function named notice bar, and we'll return inside of the div. We'll just have notice bar. Okay. And now let's import it inside of the actual page itself. One second. Yeah, if you're thank you so much for everyone that is stopping by. I genuinely appreciate it. Look, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to answer them and take any suggestions. But just building a full stack restaurant online ordering application. Wanted to build a clone of one of my local favorite restaurants with the intent of just showing that I could build out the functionality, and if I could add value, maybe I'll take it to them, or maybe a newer restaurant that doesn't already have a website for online ordering. I could show them what I built for someone else, and hey, this could work for you. But anyway, let's go ahead and import that notice bar inside of the page.tsx. So we'll go import notice bar, and then we'll just add it here. And now we see notice bar on screen. Perfect. Let's go ahead and style this notice bar a little bit. So we'll give it a class name of background neutral 100. Uh-oh. And then we'll set the text to neutral 700. Okay. And you can see it there ever so slightly on screen. We want to remove that text and replace it with a span that's going to read add-ons written in the notes will not be honored. So we want add-ons to be added inside of the cart, not to be added within the notes section. The notes section should just be for customizing, like no onions or extra crispy if we don't have an option for it, things like that. We don't want someone to say add fries in the notes, because we're not going to honor that. You need to add that on as a side item, not necessarily as a written in notification. So let's go ahead and style this a little bit. We can keep that span as is. And I think I'm going to have a icon here. Let's go import from icons F5. Is there a info? Yeah, info. Perfect. I'll add it right here. Info with a class name, height of 4, width of 4. Click save. All right, perfect. We see it right there. And we'll just give this div a class name with the margin, set the auto on the left and right. We'll set the maximum width of the screen to be, I think we set it to extra large. Then we'll go flex, item centered, perfect. We'll give it a gap, no space on the X of 2, padding on the X of 3, on the Y of 2. Starting to come along pretty good. We'll set the text, which it should already be defaulted to small, but we'll just distinguish it to be small. On small devices, we'll set the padding on the X to 4, and on large, padding on the X to 6. That way it's consistent with the header. So let's just save this, and it looks good on smaller devices. Let's look at it on a larger one. Perfect. We see that it's aligned with the header there. The maximum width of it is set to extra large so that it is aligned with the navigation text, or the top navigation text, the logo, if you will. And we saw what it looked like on smaller devices, so we're good. Perfect. Next, I want to build out the section where we kind of talk about the order heading, just distinguishing the site name and a little other information about us, our hours, etc. Let's go ahead and set that up now. And then this is going to also be inside of the page, because once you navigate from this page, you're not going to be able to see it. So we'll go to header, and we'll create a file named ordering header, maybe .tsx. We'll create an export default function named ordering header, and we'll just return a div ordering header. Save, and then we'll import it inside of the page.tsx. So import ordering header, and we'll bring it in under the notice bar. Ordering header. Bam. We see that right there. Perfect. So next, let's just add some styling to the ordering header. In fact, I think I'm going to replace this div with a header tag. And we'll just add ordering header so you can see something on screen. Okay. And in this header, we'll just give it a background color of neutral. We'll go neutral 50. So it looks a little different, and I'll go border top, border neutral 200 there. So now you see there's a little border there, and there's a little background color. You can barely see it, but you'll see it a little better in a moment. We'll replace this text. Let's copy it, delete it, add a new div, paste it back in. Inside of this div, we'll give it a class name, set the margins to auto. The maximum width of the screen will be extra large. Give some padding on the X of 3, on the Y of 8, so it's a little more distinguished. You can see that there. Then we'll go on small devices. We'll make it 4. On large, we'll make the padding on the X, I think we did 6. Click save. And let's replace this ordering header with a H1. And we named this Edwards, E-D-W-A-R-D. Seafood fish market. Actually, let's make it seafood market, because it's more than just fish. Seafood market. And give this a H1. We'll make the font semi-bold. We'll make the tracking tight. We'll set the text to neutral 900. There. And I think that should be suffice. Maybe the text can be 2XL. That works. So on with table, we'll make it extra large, and then on large devices, we'll make the text 2XL. What if we set this background to neutral 100? We'll keep it 50. Let's see what it looks like on larger devices. There. Okay. So that works. Underneath the H1, we're going to add a div. Inside of this div, we're going to have a span. Closing divs. All right, so we'll have a span. This can be a dot, maybe. Well, we do this there, and then we'll have another span that that kind of represents or tells our hours, and we can have this dynamically pulled from the database. Greetings, my brother from Chile. Greetings from America, man. Thanks for stopping by, giving a little attention to the build today. But greetings, man. Best wishes to you, your family, and yours, my brother. Thank you for that. And inside of the span, we'll just say open until, and we'll change this or have it be able to be dynamically pulled. But for right now, we'll just add a separate span and just say that we are open until, we'll say 9 p.m. Okay. And we'll add one more span. Okay. And I'll probably give that some space as well. And we'll just have a link. So I didn't import that. Slash, and then we'll have the text of more info. All right, so now let's go ahead and style this a little bit. Let's go with a class name of margin top of 2. All right. We'll flex wrap, and set the items to be centered. Okay. Then we'll go give it a gap of 3 and set the text color to neutral 600. All right. I think I probably should include the location. So we'll go span and see if we can import a React icon. Import from React icons. F5. Is there a map? Yep. Actually, I wonder what a map pin looks like. We're just looking for a map. So inside of this span, let's add the FI map. Let's go with map pin. Map pin. Yeah, that looks better. With a class name, a height of 4, a width of 4. Click save. It's perfect. And then next to this, let's add the location, which will go 2528. We'll go Brown Road. Um, all right, perfect. So we know we'll need to probably style this span so that it is in line with this. We'll go class name, and we'll go inline flex. Let's save. Perfect. Set the items to centered and give it a gap of 1. Yeah, that's perfect. And I probably could give that some color as well, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. But I think this will be suffice. All right, let me finish styling this a little bit. Um, Actually, I think this might be okay right now. I'll just look at it on the desktop to make sure it's. Yep, Edward Seafood Market. That's basically it. And then I think the next thing we'll have is a divider. Mm, So let's just go. I'll put this in the directory with the div, or the header, excuse me. Create a file named divider.tsx. And we'll go export default function divider. Return div divider. Yeah, that's how you spell it, I think, I hope. All right, let's go back to, we can close this, the page.tsx, and we'll import it underneath the ordering header. And this is just a divider, just for styling purposes. It's what's on the website. And if you want to see it, here's what I am going for. It's actually Johnny's Seafood Market here, one of our favorite little restaurants, and they have a landing page, which we could come back and add a landing page later, but I just really want to go for the ordering application. And they're closed right now, so we'll click Start Order. And I think this is a PWA where you can use the app or the actual website. So we'll just go Start Order, but this is basically what it looks like. And this is a condensed, this is the small view of it. Let's see if I can get it on the desktop. See what it looks like. So this is basically what it is. We have the same header that we created. A little notification that written in add-ons will not be honored. We have the name of the site. And then now I'm just going to build this little divider, and then we'll shift our focus to this next. I don't know if I'll get to this portion of it right now. I have a family event I need to attend and get ready for, but we'll at least go ahead and add the divider for right now. But this is what we will be building. And you'll notice that when you click on a menu item, you get a pop-up. I don't know if I'll do the pop-up animation. I think that's probably using some kind of animation library. We could use Framer, but I don't want to spend too much time on the front end UI. The magic is going to happen on the back end, and that's kind of where all the fun is at. So I don't want to deprive us of the fun of building out the actual back end by spending too much time on this. But like I said, I'm going to build everything live, so you'll see all the mistakes. You'll see whenever I need to tap into AI to kind of help with some functionality, documentation, old GitHub repos, a prior build that's somewhat similar but not quite the same. Any resource I can to get this done is what I'll be leveraging. And I would suggest you do the same thing. So let's go back and build out this divider. We'll close this, imported it, and let's just bring it in. Excuse me, see it there on screen. Now let's just give it a little bit of styling. We don't need to give it much. We'll set the height to a pixel, the width to full, and we'll set the background to neutral 200. There, you see it there. Actually, I want to make it 2. No, 1 is fine. Remove this text. There, that's the divider. And then the next thing we'll need to build out is the actual page layout. And I think this will probably be a good stopping point for right now. And I intend to jump back into this tonight, or maybe late night tonight, or first thing in the morning. So let me attend some family affairs now, and we'll be back later on to build out the rest of it. Just want to say thank you to those that stopped by, that commented, that said anything. It means a lot. And with that said, I will see you when we go live again. Peace.